One of the interesting paradoxes about this current moment we're in right now, and it's actually quite a troubling one, is that while COVID-19 is pretty much the only thing anyone's talking about right now, there's actually a huge swath of low information voters out there. People who have not been exposed to all of the contextual and nuanced information out there that should give us a fuller picture of what's actually going on. And I'm not talking about some niche fringe thing that only a few people are talking about. I'm talking about statements, statistics, facts from the federal government, things that Dr. Theresa Tam is saying, or your own provincial or municipal public health officials. Let me give you just 3 examples. And these are things that when I've written about them or tweeted them, said them on a radio program, people will write to me and say, wow, I've never heard that before. That's interesting. Or they'll say, you must be lying. No one else is saying that. And their minds are kind of blown by these things. You may have heard of these, but these things I'm about to say, a lot of people out there, millions of Canadians, I think, don't actually know this. So here's one example, that the federal app that Justin Trudeau has been urging a lot of people to download, that only registers a contact between 2 people if you have been within 6 feet of a person for 15 minutes or longer. So the federal government, Dr. Theresa Tam, and many other experts, they don't actually believe that you can catch it from just passing by someone in a grocery store. It's true. Look it up for yourself. Here's fact number 2, that children are just not being hard hit by COVID-19. So every year, the federal government produces a report that tells you how many kids have been hospitalized by the flu, how many got in the ICU, how many have died from it. And the last flu season has about 1,500 people under 19 who have been hospitalized, and about 10 kids a year die from the flu. I didn't really know that, and it's rather tragic. Well, guess what? So far, throughout all of coronavirus, from March until now, we've only got 450 people under the age of 19 who have been hospitalized with COVID-19, and only 3 have tragically died. And at least one of those, in fact, died of cancer, but unfortunately had COVID-19 at the same time. Now, I think a lot of parents who have kept their children home from school for fear that, well, they could tragically die of this if they get it, they are not aware of this contextual information. Now, the third one that I want to discuss, kind of an interesting one that's starting to bubble to the surface just a bit more, which is that more and more officials are discussing how COVID-19 is going to become or may become an endemic illness. What does that mean? Well, it means that even if you have a vaccine and you have a lot of people take it, like, say the flu, it's still going to be around for many years to come. People are still going to get it. Hopefully fewer of them will. And rather tragically, some people will still die of it. Hopefully just not as many that are dying of it right now. Why does that matter? Well, when we hear these schemes that some doctors are advocating, COVID zero, get Canada to 0 cases, got to do what Australia does, force people into their homes until you get to 0 cases, you start to look at the science and where infectious diseases experts believe this is going, and you go, well, that's just not at all feasible. Quebec Premier Francois Legault, I heard him say a quote where he said, 0 deaths, 0, not a single death is acceptable. And I agree with the kind of sentiment about that obviously it would be ideal if nobody died of all of this, but it looks like all the science says that even after the vaccine, there's going to be a few people, I don't know how many, hopefully as few as possible, but some people still dying of this. So to say there needs to be restrictions until we get to 0 deaths or cases, 100% vaccination rate, it's actually not consistent with the facts. It's not consistent with the science. Just 3 examples of things that I really think need to get out there more for the public to have a much more informed perspective of what's actually going on out there.